Welcome to the Survival Guide to Relationships. We are really glad that you are going on this journey with us. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to look at, for 2 sessions, what men want, which is really simple. We're simple creatures. It'll just be 2 simple sessions. The next 2 sessions should be about 50 sessions. We're looking at what women want, right? It's going to take a while.
It's not going to take a while.
Well, it's going to be a little more confusing to us guys, as it is for women to understand men. But then the last 2 sessions, we'll look at what makes a relationship really soar, really thrive, really take off. I really think it's going to be a series and 6 sessions that could change your life and even change your relationships.
And Dave and I, we have just a passion for marriage, and we have been married for 26 years. And I think the reason we have a passion for it is because when we were getting married and engaged, and we really had no models that we could look at to say, I want to have a marriage just like that.
It's interesting. Paul wrote a book back in the New Testament called the Book of Ephesians. It's actually a letter written to a church in a city called Ephesus. And he gets into, in chapter 5, relationships, father-son relationship, parent relationships, and even married relationships. And he talks about, in one verse, what a man needs and what a woman needs. And look at what he says. It's in Ephesians 5:33. However, each one of you also must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. Now, you'll probably notice that Paul uses 2 different words. He doesn't say the same word for wives and husbands. He says husbands are to love their wives, but he doesn't tell the wives to love their husbands. Obviously, they need to love their husbands, but he says respect their husbands. Different word. Why? Because I believe God inspired Paul to write different words. A woman's primary need is love. And we're going to look at what that looks like in the 3rd and 4th sessions. A man's primary need is respect. When a man gets respect, it's like he puffs out a little bit. It lights up his life. And so what we want to do in this session is look at what respect is. And so what we're going to do is take the word cheer, C-H-E-E-R, just 5 principles from 5 letters, because men are longing for, I'm longing for, I think every husband would agree, every man would agree, I'm longing for a cheerleader, someone to really cheer me in my life. And so we're going to walk you through that word in the first couple sessions so that you and I, especially women, will understand what does it look like to cheer my man. So sit back and enjoy this.
Hey, let's go find out what guys are really all about. So if a guy got to pick his ideal day, what would he be doing from morning until evening?
A typical guy would probably be wake up really late,
Sleep in,
eat a huge breakfast.
make something to eat, bacon and eggs or something.
You said get up and have a lovely breakfast out like you do here.
Then the rest of the day, I don't know, I think he would surround himself with good food. Lay around.
Lay around for a while, play video games,
Sitting on the couch with a remote control.
hanging out watching TV.
7-function, remote-control color television. So beautiful, it enhances any decor.
What do you think guys think about most of the time?
Guys just think about sports all the time.
Girls.
Women,
Girls a lot.
that and football or whatever game they are interested in.
Sports, girls, working.
Girls are more emotional and guys are more physical. How they're wired, I don't know.
Cars.
I took me a breath.
I think it'd kind of revolve all around like ESPN and watching TV in a big comfortable chair.
Maybe being waited on.
Go to Hooters maybe.
Go to Hooters, yeah.
Golfing. Sports. And then when we're done, let's go upstairs and,
Sex.
Sex.
And sex, absolutely. Yeah.
Golf, dinner, and sex.
Hey, Susie Q, what's cooking with you?
Who's more complicated, a guy or a girl?
Definitely a woman.
guys, they don't say anything. They just expect stuff.
I would have to say a man. No, I think women are.
Girls can't make up their minds. I don't think I really understand them. I don't know, they're just totally different people.
When guys want to tell you something, they'll lay it out there flat, where girls
Like to play games.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't know what's wrong.
Well, we usually can read men what they want and easy enough. They can't read us at all.
It really is true. It really is true. If a man doesn't get respect, it's like he lives like this, almost deflated. And yet when he gets respect, it's like, I mean, you almost literally feel your chest puff out. It's like, yeah, thank you for what that feels like. Now, often a man doesn't know how to articulate that, and so we're going to do that today. What does that look like? But it's going to be on this word. We just decided to use the word cheer. And it goes like this. A man, and those are going to be 5 principles that come out of this word, but a man wants, letter C, a cheerleader, or really just the word cheer. He is longing for a woman in his life to applaud.
You're awesome.
Yeah, that's it. Right yeah, right there. I mean, it's amazing when a woman applauds her man. I don't mean literally going like that, but, you know, believes in him, is excited about him, is excited about the things he's excited about. It feels like air, it feels like energy, it feels like light comes into his world. And the opposite disrespect would be booing, feels the opposite. You know, it's interesting. One of the first times that Ann ever heard me communicate this, we were asked years ago to speak to an all-women's group.
Yeah, and I was really excited about it. I thought, oh, he's going to talk about what a great wife I am and blah, blah, blah. And as he starts to communicate to all these women, I sat there with my mouth open. Because basically he was saying, you know, ladies, I don't think you get this, but as little boys, we grow up usually with someone cheering for us and applauding for us. It's like, yes, way to go, whether it be football or the band or theater or whatever.
I mean, I can still hear my mom when I'm 7, 8 years old, Little League Baseball. Yeah, woo, woo, that was her thing, just cheering all the time. I was terrible. I played the string bass in the high school symphony orchestra. Can you picture that? Little tuxedo, little bow tie. There I was. I was terrible. She's like, oh, you're awesome. You're wonderful. And you go to college and they're cheering for you as you're playing. I mean, it was just, there's always this cheer, and then you become a man. Nobody cheers. Men don't hear cheers. They don't. We're men. We live many times private lives. We work hard. We provide, and nobody's going, way to go. What I told the women, and this is one of the first times Ann heard me say this, is what we tend to hear is, boo, boo. I mean, it isn't funny, because that's what we hear. And I've been on the Lions sideline and heard you, boo, and it's no fun. Trust me.
But when he said that, I thought, that's exactly what I do. But I don't see it as booing. I'm helping him. I'm critiquing him because I want him to be a better husband. And so I think, let me help you, honey, because you don't understand what I need. So what you really need to do is this, because you're not doing this. And so what I'm thinking I'm doing by helping the relationship, all he hears is boo, boo. And several years ago, I tried to illustrate it this way. It's almost as we grow up as little girls, and then we get older, and we try to find the perfect man. And these plants, we'll say today, are men. And so we go into the market of single men, and we're like, oh, yeah, this one looks pretty good. He's really nice.
No, that one's a little taller. You gotta take that one.
This one right here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and this one has lots of hair. Yeah, this looks good. Just kidding, honey. Just
that was
kidding.
me years ago. There you go.
I'm sure that he'll be awesome. And so we say, you are the man. This is one. Yes. Yay. Yeah, you. I choose you. There's nobody better than you. You are the man. And then we get married. And all of a sudden we're like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a little brown leaf. Well, honey, let me help you with that. I don't think you realize, but you used to be a great communicator when we were dating. Well, now you're really not such a great communicator anymore, so you need to start talking more and communicating. Here, you need to fix, what's that? Oh, that's another one. Oh, I know what that is. What happened to the romantic days when we used to wine and dine and have these great romantic evenings? You're just like this Clyde now, and all you want to do is have sex. So what's that? And we get rid of that. And then we think, well, look at this plant. There's all kinds of flaws. This isn't even helping. I need to get something else to help myself. This will do the trick. And so we start thinking, honey, you really need some help, and I'm the one to help you because you're not romantic, you don't communicate, you never pray, you don't lead, you're quiet, you never give me what I need, and I'm so tired of it, and come on, meet my needs. And then we're done. Look at the man. And we're done, and you know what we do? We say, why can't you be more like him? Steve Andrews.
Steve Andrews, you gotta be kidding me.
And you know what? What happens is what we're doing is we think we're helping. Like, you don't know these needs I have. I need to communicate them and help you. And so we start critiquing and we start criticizing. And all they hear is, boo, boo. And what was once this like great shade for us, and this provider and this protector and this guy that opened up, suddenly he's nothing more than a shriveled up guy who pulls away from us and doesn't give us what we're hoping that he'll give us. And I will honestly say that the reason I was so hurt by what he said, it wasn't even hurt, it was conviction. Because I have done that to Dave. And you know, the area that I feel like I've been so bad at is that I've had these expectations coming into marriage. I think every woman walks into marriage, and probably guys do that too, of what I wanted Dave to be like and how I wanted him to treat me. And suddenly I wasn't getting it, and so I'd start critiquing him. And the biggest area for us that I had these expectations was the whole spiritual life. I had this view that we'd get together every evening after dinner, and Dave would say, let's come together now and read the Word of God and have this incredible devotion time. And you're all thinking, what?
Yeah, we do. Every I hold her hand.
And so I just thought, why aren't you doing that? And I'd compare him. I wouldn't compare you. I'd say,
yes, you
I
would.
heard this speaker, and he was really good, and this guy was talking about how he led his family spiritually. Or else I'd find a little book, and I'd think, oh my gosh, it wasn't what I need to do. Dave really needs to read this. And so I'd like fold down the page and I'd put it somewhere that I knew he'd see it, hoping that he'd read it and get the hint.
She really did. She put it right by the toilet. I'm not kidding. It'd be marked, underlined, the whole thing, and she was hoping I would
So
read
what did
it.
that communicate to you?
And it was really interesting. After I realized, what she's trying to do, it felt so much like disrespect.
And he never said anything. He never said, I read it, blah, blah, blah. I thought because he wasn't communicating that, I thought, oh, he hasn't heard me. Let me tell you again. And all he heard was, boo.
Yeah, it really was something over the years. And this wasn't just a couple weeks. This was several years, especially early in our marriage and then after we had kids, where it really felt like boo. It really felt like, I was looking at that little stump there and I said, man, I've been there. Some of the guys right now, it's like, that's me. Hopefully you didn't elbow your wife at that point, but I know men have felt that. And it's, for a lot of reasons, but I really felt like she does not like who I am.
And what I realized too was that I had these expectations that were not realistic for Dave's personality type. Because when I look at Dave, he is the most amazing leader. He's a spiritual leader, but it wasn't the kind of spiritual leader I had in my mind. He leads by example. He leads in moments where they'll watch a show and Dave will say, see that point? Let me teach you something. He won't say that, but...
No, yeah, you just grab life moments to use them as teachable moments. So that was how I was doing. It's just the way I'm wired, it's the way I do it. And she was saying, I don't like that. It doesn't work. I want this. And so I even tried to do that. Hey, boo, sit down. We're going to teach you the Word of God.
And the boys were like, oh my gosh, this is so boring.
They're falling asleep, and it was boring. So it was like, I do it differently. And for years, though, I felt so much like she was just booing me from the stand, saying, this is not what a spiritual leader is supposed to look like. This is not what I bought into. And over the years, though, I don't know what changed in your mind, but it was like she started applauding the way I did do it.
Because it wasn't working. What you ended up doing was Dave totally pulled away from me. And he'd be harsh and mean. I felt like it was mean. And what happened is I totally closed his spirit. I closed his soul so that and then I started thinking, why aren't you communicating your heart with me? You should do that because I love you and blah, blah, blah. But because he wasn't feeling respected, he totally pulled inward.
And I know that can happen in a lot of different areas of your marriage. That was just one area. But I've done sort of an informal survey this past year as we've been speaking around the country about this, about men and women differences. I've asked a lot of men, I'd say at least several hundred men, does your wife love you? What do you think? And they all have said 100%, oh yeah, my wife loves me. Meaning she's committed to me, she's going to death do us part, she loves me. And then I say, let me ask you another question. Do you think your wife likes you? And the first they don't want to be honest, and then all of them, maybe one guy out of several hundred said, something different, but every guy has said, not really. She loves me, but nah, she doesn't really like me.
So
She's always trying to
sad.
change me and fix me and, complete my sentences for me, the whole thing. And it was really interesting because I felt the same thing from Ann, and I told her that years ago. Oh, you can imagine that conversation. It's like, honey, I know you love me. There's no question, but do you really like who I am? You always want me to do this and not do that and do more of this. And I just hear that daily, and it was literally feeling like I was getting chopped to pieces. And when she began to understand, and some of that was reading in our conversations, what cheering looked like, it changed my life. It changed my life. It's like, I can be that man. I can be a better man than I am because I'm not getting criticized. I'm getting applauded. Now, obviously, I know some of you women are going, you don't know my guy.
There's
You don't know
nothing
my
to
husband,
cheer.
man. He is not worthy of respect. I know you are. You're a pastor. You're a great guy. Yet my husband is an idiot. He's a jerk. Guess what? If you could come live in my house for 6 hours, you'd go, Wilson's an idiot. That's what you'd say. And here's what I do want to make a little footnote here, just so we can sort of package this a little bit. If you are married or in a relationship with a good intended man, a good-willed man, what I mean by that is he doesn't mean evil. He is not trying to hurt you. He may be hurting you because he's clueless or does stupid things or just doesn't understand, but you know his heart, you've watched him, and you know he's really got a good heart. It's just you give respect. It's a biblical command. It isn't a thought. We talk all the time about unconditional love. Well, the Bible says give unconditional respect. You respect that man. Now, let me say this. If you're with a man who is evil and intends to hurt you and evil, talk to a woman at first service, with a man that's abusing her, you know what we say? Get out now. Get safe now. Because women will hear that and go, oh, I'm supposed to go home and respect that. No. It's a totally different deal. There's a process. There's a whole nother ballgame that you got to negotiate through as you get to respect. Okay? So please understand that. Some of you need to listen to this and go, okay, I'm in a different situation, so there's a different consequence and result. But many of us have men that are good-natured men, so we're saying, applaud them. You will be amazed at how they'll respond.
Applause is like fertilizer to the plant. If we sit there and we chop a plant all up, how can it ever grow and become the plant it's supposed to be? And so for Dave, I've just learned so much by the hard way is the more I applaud him, even though, like the Bible says, to speak the truth in love, I think that we forget the love part sometimes, that we're continually speaking the truth, and if we're doing that more than applauding, that's when men tend
And I tell you what, we've had a lot of conversations about the truth in love. And initially that can sound like booing too, but I know she's loving me and respecting me as she speaks the truth. I need it, and vice versa, right? So, second one, we got the C in cheer. Second one is honor his differences. That's your second point. The H stands for honor his differences. As we've said, men and women are different. There are so many differences we could talk about. Even the fact that just the way men and women focus on a relationship, how boys and girls do relationships, we look at it absolutely totally different. In fact, doctors will tell you every single cell is different than every single cell in a woman. We are just wired biologically by God differently. I mean, Time Magazine recently said, men and women are different. Biological has found that. It's like, hello? Thank you for finding that. I mean, God has designed it the whole way. And I love an author named Dave Barry. And he liked Dave Barry, just a humorous author. And he wrote a thing years ago, I clipped it out of the Detroit News, about made-up story about a guy named Roger and a woman named Elaine who'd been dating for about 6 months. And here's what he says. He says, one evening when Roger and Elaine are driving home, a thought occurs to Elaine, and without really thinking, she says it out loud. Do you realize that as of tonight, we've been seeing each other for exactly 6 months? And then there is silence in the car. To Elaine, it seems like a very loud silence. She thinks to herself, gee whiz, I wonder if it bothers him that I said that. Maybe he's feeling confined by a relationship. Maybe he thinks I'm trying to push him into some kind of obligation that doesn't want or isn't sure of. So that's Elaine. And then we got Roger over here and says, and Roger is thinking, gosh, 6 months. That's it. And Elaine is thinking, but hey, I'm not so sure I want this kind of relationship either. Sometimes I wish I had a little more space so I'd have time to think about whether I really want us to keep going the way we are, moving steadily toward, where are we going? Are we going to keep seeing each other this level of intimacy? Are we headed toward marriage, toward children, toward a lifetime together? Am I ready for that level of commitment? Do I really even know this person?
So true.
And Roger is thinking, so let me see, that was February when we started going out. which was right after I had the car at the dealer's, which means, let me check the odometer. Whoa, I'm way overdue for an oil change. I mean, there's so much more, I don't have time, but I mean, we're laughing. Why? It's so true.
And it's so frustrating.
Is it really? Of course it is. I mean, men and women even approach the relationship totally differently. And so there's so many things we can talk about when you honor, not dishonor, but honor and respect your man's differences. Let's just talk about one difference, and that would be the way we communicate. Men communicate differently than women. Have you noticed? I mean, you just watch women in a room. Hi, how you doing? Oh, nice pleasure. They're just talking. And that's what they do. And you watch men in a room, they're just sitting there. Hey, how you doing? Hey, good. we just don't use as many words. We don't go as deep. It's really, again, not all men are this way and all women are that way. There's definitely differences, and sometimes it's absolutely flipped. But generally, a lot of men are like this. They say about 80% of men are like this. They did a study years ago, maybe you've heard this, that they tried to figure out how many words, the difference between a man and a woman, how many words a day will a man use? And what's like his limit? You know what they discovered? Typical guy, 12,000 words a day. That's a lot of words. I'm like, 12,000, wow. But if you think about talking all day, that's not that many words. So 12,000 a day. A woman, 24,000 words a day with gusts up to 30,000. So it's amazing. You know, the difference is just in the way we use vocabulary and communicate, just capacity between women. I mean, a guy will come home late in the day, and at 7 o'clock, he's done. He has no more words. It's 7 o'clock. He's used 11,999. His wife will say, hey, how was your day? What's he say? One word. Fine. He's done. Done. Turn on the TV, watch sports the rest of the night. His wife's like, just warming up. She's like, honey, let's talk. He's done. There's nothing left there to do. Now, obviously, it isn't always like that, but there is a difference just in communication.
Okay, isn't that so frustrating? Women, as you hear that, you're like, okay, so am I just supposed to be okay with fine and let him go? It looks like we don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, it should be okay, right, guys? Done. No, obviously, I mean, Ann was asking me all weekend, well, so what's a woman to do? Well, a couple thoughts. One is, guys, we need to communicate. All the women are hitting you right now. Like, yeah, we need to do better at that. Work at that. Know that I know Ann wants to talk.
Well, and
communicate and emote and feel it.
No, I don't.
And it is true.
Well, yeah, but you tend to be, we're going to get like in an argument up here probably. You tend
I
to
don't.
be.
No, I don't.
You talk more than I do as far as communicating how your day was. You're awesome at that. But then I'll have this question like, well, how do you think we're doing? And suddenly he's like,
she wants to go deep, you know, the Taco Bell, deep, you know, and I'm like, I'm not going there, not now. I'm just exhausted a lot. And we go on a date every week. In fact, I encourage any couple, still date. I don't care if you're married, single, date. And so when we date, I know she wants to talk. So one of the things I do to help our relationship is I try to talk. I sort of gear myself up. We're going to go on a date. She wants to talk. She don't want to go to Superman Returns. She wants to talk.
I want to go to that too.
Yeah, after we talk. You want to talk first and then go. And so there's part of me as a man, I know that I sort of get myself in a mode. And there's other times, and Ann's been really good at this, to seize the moment when I am more talkative. Guys will be, you'll see it. If you're really using your wisdom, you'll go, oh, here it is. We see this all the time with our boys.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times where you try to probe them for information, they just walk away like, no. I mean, CJ was just like, no, I don't want to talk. And then there's other moments where he's just a chatterbox. And it's like, as a woman, you want to honor that, grab that moment, and you get so much out of it. And you do that a lot with me, because there are times where I'm exhausted, depleted, you're not going to get much, and there's other moments, and I'll see you come in, it's like, okay.
You're ready.
And I'm like, I'm ready. I want to go to a deeper level, and I want to share some things. And that is honoring the way God wired me, rather than saying, you never talk, and you never say. I heard that for years.
Well, and the hard thing for women is what happens is we'll talk, and we're getting into this, and we're talking about the relationship or whatever, and I'll say to Dave, so honey, what do you think of that? And there's this silence. And a woman, like generally speaking, most women, we just go back and forth constantly. We could go for hours on end talking and talking about, this is what I feel, what do you feel, blah, blah, blah. And Dave will just sit there and I think, okay, he doesn't care. He doesn't want to talk, he doesn't care. And so I'll leave and I'm hurt. But one of the things that I read in the book, this is so interesting, it says many men can take up to 24 hours to process.
And I know women, you're thinking it's because they're stupid. That's why.
How many cars could be built in 24 hours? It's like my 24 hours, and yet, like, Dave will come back the next day and say, you know, I was thinking about what we talked about, and then you'll have this amazing insight.
Amazing insight, yeah, that's what I. But isn't that interesting that a lot of guys do that? When Ann read that, I'm like, honey, there's some wisdom there, because it actually takes a longer, and we'll have an incredible discussion 6 hours later, or 10 hours later.
Yeah.
What is real frustrating to her. So honor and respect looks like I'm going to honor that. I'm going to let him be. Now, guys, we need to grow, we need to be, but I'm going to let him be who God made him.
And I will say, do you need time to think about it? Which is a great question, because if I don't say that, I'll think he doesn't care and he doesn't love me.
You know what I was thinking when I was watching that video? That is one hot woman. I would marry you all over again.
You're so nice.
Anyway, we are supposed to talk to you at this time, not each other. And as you just saw, we went through the C and the H of cheer. The next session, we'll give you the rest of that. We wanted to give you time to talk about those first two principles. And a couple thoughts as you start to share with your small group. Be honest, be vulnerable, be real, authentic with the people in the room right now. And I know you're looking around the room thinking, I don't even know some of these people. And that guy over there on the couch, he looks sort of weird to me. I'm not going to open my life to him. I'd encourage you to take a risk, open your life, open your heart over the next several weeks, and you will see God do an amazing thing, even with and through the people sitting around you right now.
I think it's really important not to bash each other and to share details about your relationship that could be hurtful or harmful to your spouse.
In other words, what you saw Ann do and I do, we share weaknesses of each other on stage. Don't do that.
Exactly.
Be tactful and sensitive as you share. A couple other thoughts. Listen. I mean, it's one of the best things you can do is listen to other people's stories. And another thought, don't dominate. It could be real easy for one of you or one person in the group to sort of dominate the time. Allow everybody a chance to share. So keep your comments somewhat brief, but at the same time, share what you want to share and share from your heart. And I'm telling you, God will change your life through this material and especially through the people that are sitting around you right now. You don't know them well yet, but you will. And God is going to use them to change your life and change your relationship. So it's really going to be an exciting adventure, an exciting journey. So go for it.